Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting DuckmanCycles VW Garage. First, let's get out of the way. My voice is messed up. Yeah, I know it. I'm kind of doing my best impression of Dave Mustaine.
Hello, me. Meet the real me.
Megadeth, listen to him. It has to do with a sore throat that I had 2 weeks ago. The day I recovered and I was fine. The day after my allergies kicked my ass. So I started to sound like this all over again. So here I am. So, blood stains on my hands and I don't know where I've been. Anyway, pretty bad impression, but that's what my voice is starting to sound like. Behind me here is a 1972 Beetle. That's right, the one that everybody always thought was some other Beetle of a different year because it doesn't have any of the 1972 features on it. And I don't think my microphone is turned on. No, it is. Never mind. We're good. So this one has been retrofitted. And I like the term retrofit on this because it makes more sense, because retrofit means you put older parts on, even though the definition is the opposite, it means you put newer bits on. Anyway. This one has been fitted with a bunch of older stuff to make it look like it's older. And whoever did this car did a really nice job. This car has the possibility of being mine in the future. I've been talking to the owner about it. He's a little sick up and fed with it because he's not a Volkswagen guy. He's not a mechanic. He's not mechanically inclined. He's more interested in just getting in a car, turning the key, and driving to work every day kind of thing. But his kid's been driving it, and unfortunately he borked it. Yep, he crashed it. He hit the suspension, though, rather than hitting the body, which is a lot cheaper and easier to replace. So we're going to do some of the repairs on this thing and get it straight. It's also been sitting for a number of months since it's been crashed, so the carburetors are acting all goofy. They're gummed up pretty bad, I'm sure. It ran bad. It was running on 2 cylinders when I got here. 2 days later, it ran not at all. I had to move the car using the starter. It was just bad. And then we have other things, like it's leaking brake fluid, so I have to track that down to find out where it's at. So, this is the next project. So far, I've already started disassembling things, and I've got some of the wheels, brakes, and all that stuff. So we get the disassembled. Whoop. I started to take all that stuff apart underneath there. So, the beam is just about ready to come out. I gotta finish removing some of the bolts and things from underneath here. I gotta remove the tie rods to get those things freed. And then there's 4 bolts holding in the beam. We're going to remove those last. The 2 beam bolts that are on the top that attach to the body, I've already got them out. So, I mean, this is not really a how-to, but rather a how I did. This is the side where the damage was at. Let me grab you a level and show you just how bad this is. I left this together on purpose just for the video so that you guys can see this. And that, I had a little something for the owner. There we are, we're level now, and the car is approximately level. Look at the amount of gap on the bottom there. And you can see the camber on this front wheel. They're not supposed to be like that. Volkswagens are pretty much straight up and down on the front. The rear wheels are camber, but the fronts, they don't. They hardly have any camber at all, and they don't change camber when they shift up and down. So this one's been borked, and it's been borked pretty hard. And you guys can kind of see it looking at the beam. You can see the upper and lower beams. A little hard to see, but they're definitely not in alignment. The upper's been bent. The lower's been bent even more. The control arms are probably bent. And there's a possibility that spindle may be bent too. So we are going to replace it all. That's right here in this video. So, likey, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to plug that dingle bell so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out DuckShit.net for all of my different social media links. And we'll be back right after that intro. And who knows, maybe by the end of the video, I'll have a voice again. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be right back. This guy over here, look, we got a visitor. He came to see a Dave Mustaine concert.
Yeah.
That's what my voice sounds like, Feeling paranoid just like the walls are closing in. See, he knows. Well, I don't remember where I left off. Chickens and lawn mowing. It's been like a week, guys, since I tried to finish the other video. But it just kept raining, tech session happened, constant interruptions. I just never got around to finishing pulling this beam. But anyway, there's the beam. I've got 3 of the bolts out of it already. The 4th one is in there. I've got jack stands currently underneath the corners of the chassis. I hold it up. And you're a noisy mofo. Never quiet, of course, until I start talking. But we're going to pull that beam out. I do have to save the shock absorbers off of it though, so we'll do that when it comes on out of there. But there it is. Everything's about ready to go. I even popped the top ball joint even though I didn't have to, because I stole the nuts off of it. Because the new beam, I had stolen nuts off of it for another project, so I was short a couple nuts. But what else is new? Duckman's always got a bunch of screws loose, doesn't he? So I'm going to pull that last bolt out, and I should drop the front end down, and hopefully it doesn't collapse on my head. Also, getting started with a blue cup. This time it's chocolate milk. Chocolate milk on the rocks. With a little bit of spiced rum, of course. Alright, let's get to work. Alright, a look from underneath. There's our last bolt that needs to come out. There's the holes where the other three were. There's the bolts on the ground. It's just a 19mm here. Now, if you keep one hand on this beam, as you're loosening this bolt, it won't come out. It'll just sit there. The two top bolts have already been removed. I already mentioned that. Steering column's out. I mean, everything's off of this beam except for that one bolt. So when that one comes out, this thing's going to go. So I don't know if I can get a good view of this for you guys, because I know somebody out there is going to want to see this. And I really have no good way to see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to, like, prop you guys up. Actually, that might do. Yeah, that might be good enough, although the sun is right here, of course. Hey, there you go. And he clips. Alright, we'll do the best we can with what we got then. Let's remove this bolt as is. See, this whole sway bar is bent too. Alright, last bolt is out. The beam should just come straight down. Oh, now, there it goes. Oh, there was a caster shim in there. How about that? There you go. I guess we're going to restore that. Get that back into the way it was. Okay. There wasn't much to pulling out a beam, as you can see. It's actually really easy. If you're just doing a simple beam swap, it's about an hour job. We had one in tech session the other day. You might remember that 68 Beetle I was doing metal work on. He wanted to do a beam swap, but he didn't specify that he wanted to rebuild a beam, take all the accessories out of his and put it into a new beam and then stuff it in his car. Well, he's never done one before, and he did most of the work himself, and it took most of the day. For somebody like me, of course, it would have been a lot faster, but again, he can't say anything too bad about the guy. He wants to learn, so he had his opportunity. Anyway, this beam goes away. Alright, there is our new axle beam that's about to go in. I got to reinstall the shock absorbers yet. I did put another coat of paint on it because while it was under the bed in the spare bedroom, sliding tools past it and gun cases and things for the last 6 months, I really just beat the dog shit out of it. So I had to put some more paint on it. There were some spots that were just banged up pretty badly. And then, of course, that red coupler, that's going bye-bye. So that will be coming off before we make the final attachment. But I'm just going to leave it on there just for the time being. Alright, let's go ahead and get this thing mounted. For a fresh install like this with a nice shiny beam, I like to put down a piece of plywood to slide it on. It helps to prevent the paint from getting any more banged up, especially since I had to repaint it already because I banged it up. So rather than sliding it across the pavement, that really helps a lot. So we'll get the beam shoved in there, and then of course I'll lift it into position. And you can't really bench press it when it's kind of like this because there's just no way for you to get your body underneath it. But it's a bit of a shimmy. It's a lot easier if you got 3 guys doing it, one guy in each end, and then one guy in the middle to put the bolts in. Of course, if it's on a lift, one guy in each end and then one guy with his free hand could put a bolt in. But, yeah, I'm going to do this one myself because Duckman is 3 men in 1. Alright, I about got this beam in here. For some reason, the camera didn't record, like it always doesn't. When I needed most, when I was calling it every kind of angry mother word. Anyway, I didn't really bench press it, but I kind of lifted it from overhead and shoved it into place. They're not the lightest thing in the world. I wouldn't recommend that to just anybody, guys. So don't do that. Don't hurt yourself. You can also just stuff a floor jack underneath it and kind of raise it up into place and then shimmy it into where it needs to go. And once you get that one bolt in, usually it's going to stay in place. But once you get that one bolt, go on the top side and put in the rubber gogies on the top of those bolts because that will actually hang the beam. Then you can make your adjustments down here. We also have these caster shims that were in here from before. So we're going to put those back in where they belong. Not sure why he had them on here, although this previously was an adjustable beam. I'm going to have to work on that one. Previous was an adjustable beam, but he had it raised up all the way, so I didn't see any practical reason as to why caster shims are even necessary. The front and rear were same height. So, anyway, I'll put them back in the way they were. And when he takes it off to his alignment shop, they can make the final adjustments and they'll determine whether or not it needs to come in or out. But here it is. It's in place. Just got to go and tighten up these bolts on here. This is the one that I got started first. Of course, I used the wrong damn wrench. The one I got started in there first that needs to be tightened. Well, now I feel a whole lot safer that this is going to fall out. Okay. Let's get it snugged up and let's finish this install. Alright, I did say for safety reasons that you should have put the rubber gogies and the top bolts in through the body first, because this can hold the beam in place while you shimmy it around and get the bolts in. It'll stop it from falling down at least. And of course, it gets it centered because these hulls line up, which means then your beam should go in where it belongs. Why can't I get this threaded in? But of course, the Duckman didn't do it in that order. That was just a safety precaution for you guys if you hadn't done this kind of work before. That's what I would recommend. I knew what to expect, so I am the Duckman and I will do it the Duckman way. Don't copy the Duckman, he's an idiot. You know what else the Duckman does? The Duckman uses an impact like this when he knows it'll strip a bolt.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What the duck, man? Come on, you're gonna strip a bolt. I know you like strippers, but that's not how it works. You gotta use the right tool, or the people in the comments are gonna do the things you'll like, and you're gonna
Goes. And I'll get them snugged up with a wrench to make sure they're tight enough. But they're in there. Effectively, we now have an axle beam installed. Look at this. Ball joints are fresh, you can tell. Stiff as a friggin' board. Alright. Gotta unwind the plastics off the end here, the thread protector. Get those spindles put on. They look like the same style ones that were on here previously, so that's gonna make it a little easier to put all the parts back on. Because if you don't have the same parts, you can't put the same parts back on. So anyway, we lucked out on this go around. Alright, I'm gonna take a break for a minute. It's hot out here, guys. It's in the low 90s. Summer's here. Summer's officially here, and last May, it was like 107 degrees here. And then the rest of the summer was actually cooler, go figure. The spring was hot, the summer was cool. And then summer ended early too. It was like early August, suddenly summer broke, and we were in the fall temperatures. Well, I was grateful for that, because man, the beginning of spring was an absolute disaster. Anyway, we got to continue bolting some stuff together here. From here out, it's just bolt things in, really. It's really not too hard. Got all the hard stuff done. I got to put the shock absorbers in there too yet and remount all the brakes. Well, we'll get to that after a break. Here's our tie rods, which are looking reasonably straight. And these are actually better, heavy-dutier tie rods than the cheap China ones that were on that beam when I got it. So I think we're going to keep these. These also have new boots on the ends of them. So they look to be pretty good. They are urethane boots, but these aren't too bad. I have used those in the past myself, and they do hold up. But this is good. And that on the end there is your steering shortener. It allows you to have less turns in your steering to go from full lock to full lock on either side. So I've never tried one of those on my own cars before, and I didn't even notice this car had it. So when we get this together, we're going to take it for a ride, and I'm quite curious how much different it's actually going to be. Not that I haven't driven it before, but like I said, I just didn't notice it. So we'll put this all back in under here, just like this. Swing this one back this way, and then down she goes. Alright, we'll get that bolted in right through there, and actually I can bring the whole steering rack over, like that. Be easier to get to the bolts. Duckman's using his tools again. Pulled out the old impact. You know what happens when Duckman uses an impact?
And you're gonna ram.
Shit. I guess what happens is the damn thing falls out. And actually, I broke this driver anyway. A little dick on the end of it that locks it in normally. It just broke off earlier this morning, so oh well. There we are. Tie rods are in. I need to lock them down to the spindles on either end. We're going to start on this end over here and start putting this guy together. And what I failed to mention is that we had a celebrity here this week. Herbie was here. And Herbie came here slammed and they wanted to raise him up to look a little more authentic. So they brought him up to stock ride height. So I handled that. No videos because it's just suspension adjust. The same things that you could see in a million of my other videos. But there he is with no goofy camber, no goofy situations, no more wheel rubbing. He could drive it anywhere. Completely stock. See ya, Herbie. Alright. I don't feel like setting up a tripod, so we'll see if we can get this done one-handedly. Gotta cut off this thread protector on here, which looks like it's just black tape. This is good. And you know what I didn't bring over here, guys? I didn't bring over any grease. So I'm gonna have to grease up this stub before we put the bearings and stuff together on there. Alright, take the nut off the tie rod. The tie rod's gonna go right in there just like that. Put our nut back underneath here. I believe that's a 19. I think I got the 19 over here, if I'm not mistaken. Well, looks like I'm mistaken. I don't see it. Nope, it's not behind me either. And I thought I set everything up before I got started. Damn it, Duckman. Turned out the 19 was right in front of me all along. I just didn't open up my eyes wide enough. Damn it, Duckman. If you just pay attention, you'd actually know what you're doing. Alright, here we go. That's on there. We'll come back and torque this stuff down later, by the way. I'm not going to be done with just the impact. Because you can't trust the impact, because you know what they do? They strip off bolts.
Come on, man. Get drill. Or you know what? Get one of these. These are magical. Come on, man.
Here's our speedometer cable. You guys can probably not even hardly see that. There it is. Got to feed it through the back of the spindle. And it should come right out the stub. Just like that. There it is. I want to have that ready because when I start putting all the rest of the crap on here, it's going to be a lot harder to get to. Okay. We're going to reuse our backing plate because this does have provisions for it on these spindles here, which is fantastic. That's really nice to see. It looks like we're going to use the lower bolt on that side and the two that are over here. Those bolts, for whatever reason, were stainless steel. Now, somebody put some stainless steel bolts in there originally, so those are going back in. A little upgrade. Looks like we got some washers for each one of them too. Well, that's all going to go back in. Oh, ducks are coming over here to play. Hey ducks, where are you? There you are. Alright, here's our nuts and bolts. My hands are filthy now. Good job, Duckman, you're such a dirty boy. Okay. Alright, these are just 11s. We're not going to over tighten these because you know what an impact will do if I do. Don't over tighten them! Anyway, those really don't have a torque spec on them. I mean, I guess they do, but they're non-structural. So all it is a backing plate. It's going to stop it from backing out. Alright, our caliper is tucked up way over there. We're not putting that on until after our spindle stub gets greased, and then we put our bearings back on it. Bearings have nice grease in them. It looks like somebody just repacked them recently, so I'm not going to do any of that. I'll just put some new grease on the stub and everything and just slide the sucker right on. I'm going to grizzle my spizzle. I accidentally sent a picture of a greased up spindle to some of my friends the other day, and they said, why'd you send that to us? Are you going to stick it in your butt? And I said, no, but it looks like I already did. Yeah, it went over well because Duckman's an awful hard one to pick on. Try to pick on me, it's just, I'm going to accept it and backfire it. Alright, this is the disc with the good bearings on it, which thankfully just fell into this blanket here. Get that right on there. There it is. And there's our bearings. Alright. There we go. Make sure you get that washer on there. Uh-oh. It's a special washer with a little, like a keyway in it. It's not actually a keyway, but it's like a keyway. It slides into a little slot that pulls everything together. And then this should all settle in there. Looks like the bearings aren't settled yet either. Alright, I'm going to beat on this for a minute here and we'll come right on back. I need 2 hands for that. And of course, what you guys didn't see is as I was pulling this drum, or disc I should say, rotor, on again, off again, I knocked the bearing on the ground, which got it covered in dirt, and I had to completely repack the bearing anyway. The internal one is still fine, so we're going to leave that be, but now it's settling just fine. There it is, and there's our washer, which it looks like it was actually going in this way, because it's more worn on one side than the other. There it is. Although it probably really doesn't even matter. There we go. This side, and the reason why I'm showing this side on video, also happens to be the side that has the reverse thread spindle nut. This is our spindle nut right here. And I don't know if this is the reverse one or not. I might have the wrong one. We'll see in just a second. No, it's going on. There you go. Lefty-tighty. Alright. This little pinch screw that's on here needs to be loosened up some. I don't know why it's not loose, but it does need to be loosened up some before I drive it all the way out. So we'll take care of that right now. I gotta find a tool for it because I thought I had it. It doesn't look like this is the right one. Or is it? No, it's not the right one. Alright, we'll be right back. Found a Allen key to loosen that up. Good, that should get it. And then lefty-tighty. Get this sucker tightened on here. The recipe for this is real simple. You tighten it up until you can't tighten it anymore. Then you spin the thing and try to tighten it some more, and you will be able to. And that will help to seat the bearings. See what I mean? I mean, it was tight, and I'm getting more and more out of it. Get as tight as you can by hand. That's it. And then you back it off 1/12 of a turn. So it's going to be approximately like that. And that gets the bearings to where they need to be. So, simple as that, guys. Really not much to it. Then you come in here and you tighten up your pinch screw. Being careful not to turn the nut any more than... Yeah, there you go. And snug it up. Gotcha, bitch. One more spin. It's spinning freely. Okay, we're good. Now we gotta put the bearing cap on, but before we do that, just in case this does get water or moisture in it, you want to make sure to repel as much of it as possible, so grease this up really good. Don't be afraid of the grease in this department. Get it all around the bearing flange here, all around the bearing, and try not to point the camera down like I just did, so I don't know how much you even missed. But here it is. And the bearing cap on this side is the one that has the square hole in it. The square hole is what's going to go over our speedometer cable here. There it is. And then this is all going to get pushed on just like so. Now, I should have a hammer over here, and probably should be using a block of wood with this. You can see how it's all dented up from the last guy anyway. But typically just a couple light shots with a hammer will get it on there. I got it. Okay. This side is effectively done, except for that speedometer cable. We are supposed to put a clip on the end of it. When this one showed up, it didn't have a clip on it when I took it apart. I don't know if I showed that in a video or not earlier. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a piece of baling wire on it, mechanics wire or whatever have you. Just twist it around it, snug it up real good, and then cut it off. That's usually enough to get it. You can also use a little clip from a Bicycle Master Link. That also seems to work real good. Or use the original part if it's available to you. Sometimes they want such a stupid amount of money for such a stupid little clip. So, a piece of baling wire it is. Alright, I love this tool on here. Oh, I pulled too hard. Twisty, 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 just like that. One more twist should get it. There it is. Then we'll just bend it over and cut off the excess. Alright, we are clipped. Last thing that needs to go on is the caliper. So, that's going to go on right here. And the caliper, I have it tucked up and under here so it doesn't get beat up or damaged. Sometimes these require washers for spacers. When this came off, it didn't have any underneath. So it's pretty safe to assume that the spacing on it wasn't an issue, that nobody needed them. Let's see, caliper should go on there just like that. There it is. You know, it's even staying. Thank God. Look at that. I can do this with one hand. So we should have two bolts for it. And they are. And these are going to go in from the back side. Part that you're not going to be able to see. So I can't show you. Sorry, guys. Well, maybe you can kind of see. There's one. And then the other one is going to go up underneath right here. Just like that. It's just a happy little bolt. Goes right into its little home. Does what it's supposed to do. Snugs up its little job. Holds its little self on there. And I think you're going to be happy with what we've just put together. I don't know what size those are. Oh, look at that. I grabbed the right size on the first try. This would be a 15? No, it's a 17. Okay. So, we'll impact the fuckers right on there. And then we'll come back with a torque wrench later. And there we go. Whoa. My battery's starting to go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Duckman, what are you going to do with your battery? Well, I know a dead battery won't strip my bolts now, will it? Well, I might have lost some audio from the other clips, but I started to slip this shock absorber in here, and I noticed it was way too short. Short's not a good thing. This did have a lowered beam on it before, but it was at the maximum ride height setting, so in other words, it was back at stock height. But this shorter shock was on here, which explains why it was so hard to remove from the other beam and why everything pretty much, jumped apart as soon as I released the bolts on it. So I think this is likely a shortened shock, and if I try to tighten this in here and try to run with this as is, yes, it'll lower the car, but it puts the suspension into a preload status, so that way whenever you go over bumps, the shock absorber is going to stretch to maximum length, and it's going to translate to a banging sound. Yeah, so the shock absorber will eventually get pounded out on the inside. But anyway, this shock may not be correct. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to put the wheel back on, put the weight back down on the front end, and see if that settles to where it's supposed to go. And if it does, then I'm going to call it good. If it does not, then we're going to have to see about getting a longer shock. And this one may be a shortened shock that's on here. I can't tell. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't change a ton of shocks, and I haven't in my lifetime. A lot of other parts, but not so much shocks. Usually they tend to last, at least for me anyway. But this one is still a good one, but it may be wrong for this application. So I guess we'll see. Alright, well, we'll put the other side back together, wheels go on, and I guess we'll see what happens. Over here on the left side, I already got the backing plate on, got the tie rod in. Just going to run right through this and get it done as fast as possible. Here's our little thread cover. Throw a little grease on here, get our drum, or rotor as we call it, caliper, put our correct nut on, which this one is a righty-tighty, not a lefty-tighty. This one is a correct one, so we'll put it on the way it belongs. And then put our caliper on, put the wheel on, and throw it on the ground and see just how high or low it ends up and whether or not our shocks are even going to work. I got quite a curiosity, Alright, let's see where it ends up. Looking pretty good, actually. Looks pretty good. That's about where it was sitting. It looks like stock ride height, which normally I like a lowered Beetle, but this one looks just really good at stock ride height. I don't think I would change much on this car. And if I do take this one over, and I take ownership of it, which I'm kind of hoping, then I don't think I'd change it. I think I'd leave it as is. The back is still up too. I mean, if I did change my mind and lowered it, I'd probably just put drop spindles on it or something and maybe lower the back just an inch or two. Tops, if anything. But I kind of like it just the way it is. Alright, well, I guess I need to examine where that shock ended up at underneath. So I'll grab my old snap-off creeper here, and we'll have a look up underneath. Hope I can take you guys with me. Yeah. Oh, here comes the impact. Well, that wasn't too hard. Once I got the weight on the suspension, it smushed it down enough that the shock absorber went right in. So it wasn't a problem at all. In my opinion, I feel we probably should need a longer shock absorber on there. And I'm going to have to measure one to see if that's even the correct length that even belongs on here. But nonetheless, what's on there is going to work because that's what was on there before. And if that worked on the old beam at stock ride height, then it's going to work on the new beam at stock ride height. But most importantly, look at that wheel. It's straight up and down now. No more of this crap where it's all kicked way under. Real good, but look at this side. This one's kicked in this way. It's turned. So the tie rods need to be adjusted for sure. Difference in spindles or arm lengths or whatever the hell it is. Who knows? Either way, it's going to need an alignment job. I'm going to do a very basic one on it. I'm not going to do it in this video. Very, very basic one. I am not an alignment master. No. Those shops that have computers and everything just to do that. What I'll do is I'll get it in the ballpark, so that way it's drivable, so I can get it over there and get it adjusted. A few things that need to be done, though. One of which, damn chicken has to be screaming. I got to get that red steering coupler out. That's also not going to be part of this video, but it's something that will be completed and I'm not going to forget about. And I want to mention it, because if I don't mention it, somebody in the video will mention it for me. Down below in the comments, they'll say, "Hey, Duckman, what about that red steering coupler? I didn't see you change it. That means you didn't." Well, I'm going to. It's just not going to be in this video. But ride height is where it needs to be. I think this car is in good shape. So I'm going to wrap up this video. So you know what the deal is, guys. That means licky, likey, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to pluck that dingle belly so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out duckshit.net for all of my different social media links. And we'll be back probably with this car. We got to figure out what the hell's going on with the brakes. They're leaking everywhere and they don't work. But we're not finding any puddles on the ground. So anybody's guess. But I guess that's it for now. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next go-round. Alright, I know you guys want to see the carnage and destruction before we wound up this video. But you could see just how crooked that beam is. And I brought a straight edge out for this to measure it up so you guys could get a better look at it. But I mean, it's so obviously bent that a straight edge wasn't even necessary. But look at how far out it is. If I put this straight edge down the other end of the beam, you can see how there's no gaps. Not at all, but way over here, yeah, we are way out. So this is bent this way. It also appears to be bent up a little bit, which I would then venture to say that the top tube has also been twisted a little bit like this and probably also was bent in. This lower arm also may be bent, and this spindle may be bent. It may even just be weakened. Sometimes these stubs will break off after they've formed a little micro cracks along the inside of them. They are hardened steel, but hardened steel, as you know, doesn't like to bend. It rather prefers to shatter. So, typically it's not this side that does, though. But you know what? That one's hollow too, isn't it? It doesn't appear to be drilled all the way through, though. But usually this side's the better one because this one's solid, whereas the one on this side is where the cable runs through for the speedometer. So you can see the light through it. But this is the one that's usually weaker than the other side, and that's typically the side that does break. Well, anyway, this is the side that's whacked. These spindles may or may not be good, I don't know. The arms may or may not be good, I don't know. I can tell that the sway bar is bent too. It's bent way up that way. So apparently he hit something else in the process, whacked it and pushed it upwards. And it's a shame this is an adjustable beam too. This is it's the Avis style. It's not the good one. The good one is the bolt style with the blocks. These have a tendency to jump teeth and sometimes strip themselves out over time. So I really don't prefer the Avis style. But I suppose if you maintain it properly, then it won't be an issue. But I don't like them anyway. But that's the beam. Look at that bend. It bent more than Ron Jeremy's dick.